let us know for last thoughts, our listeners live and on podcast.
All right, we know that I do joke quite often about my attempted escapes from the psych ward, but in all seriousness, the psych ward gang is seriously my idea of representing the military. Representing mental health in the military community. So if you happen to run into any type of mental health crisis or emergency, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial 988, press option 1. Again, just as I had to do when I was in a moment of crisis, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial the digits 988, then press option 1 if you find yourself in a similar mental health crisis.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is the WarDawg Trail Podcast, episode 116, with your host, Sergeant WarDawg. All right, I got another great military baller as a guest today. All right, but before I bring him to the stage, let's go over today's announcements. All right, first off, you can visit my website, sergeantwardawgtv.com, as well as the Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Instagram page. All right, my book, the exact same name as this podcast, The WarDawg Trail, a Marine Rifleman's Struggle with War and PTSD, is now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Books A Million. So grab your copy today. All right. My nonprofit, Camp Doghouse, is located in Central Florida. We've owned the land for 5 years now. We are going to use the land to convert it into a homeless veterans shelter where we allow the veterans to stay as long as they need to get back on their feet. You can now visit campdoghouse.org to find out what we are doing in Central Florida to alleviate the homeless veterans issue. All right. We are brand ambassadors for Reaper Apparel Co. So you can use our code Sergeant WarDawg TV for 10% off of your entire order at reaperapparelco.com. All right, we are also brand ambassadors for Hyperion Munitions. So you will hear us and see us bringing up companies such as T6 Firearms, Oriskany Arms, Veteran Ammo, and the Precise Trigger Control, all from Hyperion Munitions. All right, last year we won several awards for the show. First off, we won Veteran Support Nonprofit of the Year for 2023 and 2024 from Corporate Livewire. Now this year, 2024, we've already won 2 awards. All right, first off, from Global Health and Pharma, we won Best Veteran Mental Health Awareness Network for 2024 as a part of the Mental Health Awards 2024. All right, also this year from Acquisition International Magazine in the UK, we won Veteran Welfare Outreach Nonprofit Organization of the Year for 2024. All right, each and every Saturday night, you can catch me live on DV Radio. That's Dysfunctional Veterans Radio. We begin at 8 p.m. Eastern Time each Saturday night. We have hosts from each branch of the military. Come back and join our Barracks Talk podcast, where we joke and discuss issues relevant to the military, just as you would have back in the barracks. All right, DV Radio at dvradio.net. All right, these are the outlets that you can find the podcast on. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as Amazon Music. You can catch the video podcast on YouTube, Facebook, or X. All right. This is our military baller segment of the WarDawg Trail podcast, in which we highlight and bring to the light unsung heroes of the military that you might not have heard of, but we're still dope enough to make our military ballers list for their sacrifices and their service. All right, I'm your host, Sergeant WarDawg. And ladies and gentlemen, I now welcome to the stage Matthew from Flexas Medical Group. Welcome to the show, boss.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Good deal. Now, if you don't mind, let's jump things off right off the bat and talk about your background, your military background.
Well, I myself am a prior United States Navy corpsman. Served a couple combat tours in Iraq in support of combat operations of the Marine Corps. I served with units such as 1st Tank Battalion and 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, particularly Alpha Company, where I did Iraq, mostly Iraq. From there, did my time. I saw on there that a lot of your, the commercials pre-show, I got sidetracked because a lot of it already related to my life. I saw the psych ward games.
Yeah.
I started thinking about me coming back from my wreck the last time and being at Balboa Hospital, and I saw DV radio, and I'm like, this take me back. Yeah, man. So I was a United States Navy corpsman who served his entire time active with the Marine Corps. A lot of Navy fellas think if I tell them I was in the Navy and then they start talking Navy, they get to looking at me crazy, like, are you an imposter? I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I don't really know much about the Navy, but I can tell you about the infantry. Those are my guys. Those who I formed my connections with during my time in the military, and that's really what forged who I became and who I am today. Was my time served mostly with infantry, Marines.
Right on. Good deal. Do you mind telling us what years you were in?
Yes, I was in from early 2004 all the way to 2010, where I did several pumps all the way up to 2007, which was my final one, where things happened and I ended up getting sent to Balboa. But 04 to 07 was my combat pumping years, but I remained in all the way to 2010.
All right, good deal. Now, where are you located now?
Right now, I am in North Florida. However, I'm generally based in Houston, Texas. Well, both. I bounce back between Texas and Jacksonville, Florida.
All right.
Florida. Not right now, Jacksonville, Duval.
Good. All right, that's what I'm talking about. I'm actually down in Clermont, Florida, so I know exactly where you are.
I seen that right before coming on. I was like, wow, he's in Central Florida. After we get off, I'm gonna have to get in contact with you after this.
All right, that'll work, bro. That'll definitely work. Now, I have to say, on a personal note, I've always had the utmost respect for corpsmen. All right, because you asked to join the Navy, but while joining the Navy, you agreed to come work with the Marines. And the thing that a lot of people don't know is you're expected to do everything that Marines are and to meet all of our qualifications and all of our codes, and all of our, all of our little rules and ways of living. You as a Navy corpsman are expected to know, live, observe, and react all the proper ways that a Marine react. And I'm especially talking about physically, all right? Physically, you did not ask to go through everything that people in the Marine infantry ask for. All right, your body, your knees, your back, everything did not ask for you to go, put yourself through that kind of grind, but you chose it anyway. You stuck it out. You even went through combat with Marine units. So yeah, you got my utmost respect as a true military baller, bro. You have done your thing. If you ever question your service or question your purpose, please don't, because you got Marines and grunts like me who know exactly who you are and what you do, and we appreciate you, bro.
Thank you. That actually means a lot. That means a lot to me. A Marine told me on my second deployment, we got back to the grinder, the 1-1 grinder on Horno, and I'll never forget. This is when we're marching back to the grinder. All the family and friends are there waiting for you, clapping and applauding, and we get the dismissed, and we about face, and we're dismissed. And right before everybody's family members who have been waiting to see them all deployment long, I remember a sergeant with 1-4, before he even approached his wife or talked to his wife or his family members, he turned to me and he said, Doc, I don't care what anybody says, what anybody will think. As far as we're concerned, you are a Marine. And I never forgot that, because it was like, this is coming from a sergeant of Marines.
That's right.
This wasn't something that I, put out there or tried to make sense. I just did my job and stuck it out with guys. And Sergeant Nick, first time Fort Marines Alpha Company, stowed that honor on me, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the look in his eyes in that moment where I was like, okay, all right, I'll take that. Take that away from me.
And you did say 1-4 Alpha Company?
Yes, I was with First Battalion Fort Marines Alpha Company Raiders. We were an amphibious raid company out of 1-4, where we worked with CRRCs and up down in Coronado and practice over the horizon raids on beaches. Basically, from World Wars, where we were island hopping in the Pacific. Same doctrine that we're going to have to use again coming up soon. Specialized in amphibious raids, CRCs, but in between that, we were just pumping out pumps to the desert. Mm-hmm.
Right on. Now, before we begin talking about Flexas Medical Group, can you let us know where can people find Flexas Medical Group online or social media?
Yes, we have a number of places online. We're on all the popular platforms. Instagram is our primary platform where we keep it most update, and all of our schedules for our classes and all kind of information that we provide on there. One could say you could follow the Instagram page, and if you watch everything, you could be a corpsman yourself, as we get that much. We also are active on TikTok. We're active on Facebook, and we're active on Twitter. Newly active on Twitter. So yeah, that's where you can find us. And then we have a website, www.flexasmedicalgroup.com, where oftentimes is where we post or have the links to our upcoming training classes. So anybody that's ever interested in getting out there and training combat corpsman style, that's where you would head to in order to put your reservations and your classes, etc.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, walk us through your transition of service in the Navy to creating Flexas Medical Group.
Oh, okay. So in 2010 and prior to that, I spent quite a number of years at Balboa Hospital getting treated for PTSD and other such injuries that happened on my deployment. And after getting out in 2010, most, like a lot of my buddies, we just kind of just hung out and did whatever. It was a period of time where you didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I was, just gonna live life. Then around 2020 came around. That's when 2020 was a rough time in the United States. There was a lot going on, and me and a buddy of mine from the military, a fellow corpsman, were looking at the state of the United States, and we saw a void. We saw a void in the communities, a lack of education, and something that we thought would be very beneficial, and that was teaching, training, and understanding tactical emergency casualty care, tactical combat casualty care, CLS, stop the bleed, etc. So we got this bright idea of, hey, why don't we just teach everybody how to be corpsmen just like us? Why don't we just package up the very things that the infantry taught us, or we were different units, RCT-1, infantry Marines, at the end of the day, 1st Marines, combined with what Navy medicine taught us. Let's bring that to the general public so that they can, take advantage of something we see missing. We're seeing a lot of people getting hurt. A lot of people standing around not really knowing what to do in an active violent event. There's also years of a lot of protesting. There was a lot of unrest going on. There was a lot of fear of potential violence. And while everybody was focused on stacking up on firearms, ammunition, we thought, hey, people are forgetting about medical and the importance of it. They're not realistically approaching what it is to be involved in a violent event. And by that I mean getting shot or stabbed or blown up in Afghanistan. I can assure you is no different than being shot, stabbed, or blown up in a 7-Eleven in Claremont, Florida. The only difference would be, scope and duration. Combat lasts longer. It involves more people. But the injuries remain the same, and the effects that it has on the human body, as well as people's minds, PTSD, exactly, remain the same, both in the civilian sector as well as in the military. So we decided we would provide that. We would step in and fill that void for anybody that would have us, anybody that could see the benefit in it. And we started reaching out mostly to a lot of our buddies from the military, a lot of veterans, a lot of basically the 2A community embraced us first. They saw the 2A community didn't see us as some guys wearing scrubs and gloves and, wrapping something in a hospital. I'm sure they would have been bored. But they saw an element of their community. They saw where we were twined with them, with the 2A community. Firearms, tactics, and medical, they go hand in hand. So we formed the group, and we haven't looked back since. Yeah, so now we train anybody from agencies, private citizens, schools, churches. We do a lot of free work, charity work. You would call it what's that called? Non-profit type work, although we are not yet a non-profit, but we do that type of work for qualifying organizations like churches, schools, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, veteran clubs, etc. And things have been going well. A lot of people have given us a lot of feedback and confirmed our initial thought process that this is something that is very much intertwined with the 2A community, something that is needed and something that is wanted by the people to continue to provide the very best tactical emergency care and combat care, stop the bleed for the 2A community and private citizens alike.
Exactly, bro. I'm very impressed with what you do. Now, do you operate in Texas and Florida, or is it one or the other?
Absolutely. So our two bases where we operate primarily, easiest places for us to on classes and logistically take on those responsibilities is Houston, Texas, and Jacksonville, Florida. I reside in Houston, Texas, and my partner resides here in Jacksonville, Florida. Once again, this is my buddy since before I turned 21 in the military, before I could drink. I've known him that long. We've been like this since then. So transitioning back and forth between each other's states is nothing. I'm actually at a house of his that he just put me up, and he has another house in St. Augustine. So whenever I'm in need to come to North Florida, I have a place. We put on the show. I'm comfortable. I'm welcome. I have a place to stay, and likewise with him. We have anything that we're in Houston, Texas. He's also he's my senior instructor and assistant in all of our classwork. So he's critical in making sure that we provide the best value. So wherever I go, whenever I do a class, he's present. And likewise, if there's anything in Florida, I'll be present.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. Now, you are one of the few people that I can ask this question to, but you will totally understand it and get it from my perspective. I have been in infantry platoons, right? And there are never many black men in the infantry platoons, all right? So even less than that, you as a black corpsman in an infantry platoon, you know exactly what it's like to be in a predominantly filled Marine infantry platoon or company or battalion, all right? If you don't mind, talk to us about your experience as a black veteran in the infantry.
Well, I want to start. I guess the first thing was just a general culture shock because I had to get accustomed to two cultures. I had to get accustomed to the culture of the Marine Corps. Well, three. I had to get accustomed to the culture of the Marine Corps transitioning from the Navy. Then I had to get accustomed to the culture of the infantry, which is its own different, it's not the same. If no one thinks grunts, you'll realize that is not the same. Your expectations change, and then like you said, there's not a lot of brothers in the infantry. I can only think of probably not even 5 in my age. Probably not even. I can only think of like 2 when I scan back off the top of my head. Corpsmen, there were no brothers that were corpsmen in my AO, at least. So I was the only face. This was the face of the corpsmen in the AO.
Right.
And that was it. So culture shocks. First one, dipping. That was something that was foreign to me that I even picked up kind of out of a necessity. I came out of high school smoking tobacco, and then infantry Marines hit me with the light discipline out on field ops.
Right.
And I was like, how do we reconcile this? How do we make sure that I still don't strangle you guys here, Doc? And that's where the can of dip came in. And that was 2 cultures at once that I picked up on. I picked up on country, rancher, white guy with the cowboy hat, that culture, which that's predominant. That's where that comes from, but I got a chance to, see where that comes from, kind of ingrained with the infantry. Another interesting thing is in the Marine Corps with infantry. First off, they're brutal when it comes to all the racial jokes because anybody can get it. Let's start off with anybody can get it. So of course, I I missed it. So they tread lightly after a while, because any good corpsman worth his salt knows he has to kind of double down on Marines here and there, and when they start respecting, that's when they start respecting you. But I definitely got a chance to get colorful jokes, but it wasn't problematic to me at all, because being with the infantry, the one thing that I noticed was that rank is what mattered over everything. It really didn't matter what the jokes were made about colors. They were probably legitimate, full-on even, but that were involved in some of the units that I was with. But when somebody you get at parade rest and they had one up on you, you got at parade rest that. So no matter what it was, if it was a Lance Corporal, me as a HM3 in the Navy, and he could be the most. There's this one artist that this one guy used to play in the barracks with all this crazy lyrics, racial lyrics. That guy, he would still get at parade rest, and I, whoever, So it really wasn't as problematic as one would think, being immersed in a society or a culture or a group where there aren't that many brothers, where it's predominantly, I would say, white, and you got, your Hispanics and Filipinos thrown in there,
Right.
But that was interesting, because going all throughout my career, I still never ran into very many fellas that had our experience being with the infantry, which brought a disconnect too when I got back and started dealing with my community, with brothers in my community, because they don't know what you're talking about. They can't relate. Anytime I describe anything or tell a story about anything I've done with infantry, they're like automatically like, "That's you hanging out with those guys," those white guys. That's just how it goes. And
exactly.
Yeah, but I felt like a brother though. They made sure though, especially after pumping. Once you get your first deployment in with those guys, you're locked in.
Locked in.
You're locked in. Yeah,
exactly.
That was, there was no turning back. We're all brothers.
Right on. Now, let's talk about the training that you offer at Flexas Medical Group and the state of mind that you try to instill in your students.
Oh, okay, certainly, sure. So, at Flexas Medical Group, our mission is to provide all the experiences, education, and training that we receive as United States Navy Queen in support of combat operations with infantry, Marines, to take that, package it off, and roll it into the civilian population. Mostly is our primary focus. We want everybody to be able to benefit from the same education and training that we got, because if it's good for the goose, good for the gander. Here in America, the same problems that we encountered in Iraq or Afghanistan, the civilian population here can also face those same challenges. For example, a buddy of mine, Corporal Allen, he was killed in 2007 by stepping on an IED, one of my Marines with 1-4 Alpha. Likewise, there were individuals that were killed by improvised explosive devices in 2013, the Boston bombing. We recall that, the Boston Marathon bombing. There were, yes, there were serious casualties. So once again, what happens overseas also happens in America, so it never made it obsolete. So we wanted to provide those exact same services and training that we were provided by infantry, Marines, and the United States Navy medicine. Fast forward, we now have a program that, if I would say myself, is the best program that one could get this side of the Mississippi River, for anybody that is interested in learning how to be the one responsible for your team. An awesome, yet great responsibility of being the one that everybody looks to in the worst case scenario, the scenarios that we don't like to think about, which is when people get hurt.
Right.
Stop the bleed. We provide that service, which is kind of tiered, or it's absolutely tiered. It's probably our first and most basic level of service that we recommend everybody receive. It's not necessarily gonna be most ideal if you're somebody who carries a gun professionally, or you're a concealed carrier, or around firearms or utilize firearms all the time, but it's a good start. Something that anybody could use. 2A people, anti-2A people, teachers, churches, students, every community can benefit from Stop the Bleed, because massive hemorrhage is the number one most preventable causes of death worldwide, leading worldwide, and controlling hemorrhage, which is oftentimes the number one contributor to fatalities, is essential. So anybody can participate in that. Then we roll into the fun stuff, which is the gun stuff. My 2A people, the ones that aren't squeamish around firearms, professionals with firearms, whether you're in enforcement, security, executive protection, private security, contracting work, or you're just a responsible concealed carrying citizen. This is where they find the most benefit. This is where the tactics and the medicine come together, which is what we as former United States Navy Corpsman with Infantry Marines specialize in. A lot of people teach it, but combining tactics with medicine is something Navy Corpsman with Infantry, I don't believe anybody does better. Because as you said in the beginning, the Marines expect you to and get your speed on how to be lethal and how to be completely integrated with them for combat operations tactically. Meaning,
Right on.
we're going into a home, we're on a dismounted patrol. I am in that patrol as a Marine rifleman before I am the Navy Corps, which caused us to learn a lot about combining tactics with medicine, and that's why we do this so well. Everything that we teach is consistent with tactical combat casualty care guidelines and tactical emergency casualty care guidelines. Everything that we teach is consistent with the combat life saver curriculum, and everything that we teach is consistent with Stop the Bleed curriculum. Stop the Bleed, tactical emergency casualty care, or TCCC, tactical combat casualty care. We bring the tactics to the Stop the Bleed. In dynamic environments where individuals get to actually perform and see how they would actually do, not theoretically in their mind, but they get to sim what it would be like to be individual around an individual if they were shot, stabbed, or blown up in any event, whether it be abroad or here in the United States. But good medicine and good tactics, they have to meet somewhere. Advanced tactical combat casualty care is the very next step, and that's when you go into that's more akin to what we do teach our corpsmen, more advanced techniques that a lot are reserved for paramedics or paramedic level intervention. So if you are a paramedic, EMT, nurse, etc., and you want to really take your image control or emergency casualty care, come on out to us. We got you. But we don't limit this training to healthcare professionals. Its effectiveness rather lies in its accessibility to anyone and everyone. Everyone trained in tactical combat casualty care and emergency casualty care becomes an advocate and an integral part of a broader network of care, making sure that nobody is left vulnerable in a life-threatening situation they may be, whether they are in a Walmart, a 7-Eleven, a Dollar General, like just happened here in Jacksonville. The community as a whole becomes one big network, ensuring that the time between the arrival of healthcare professionals and the point of injury, that they met with some care that will ultimately increase their chances of survival. So stop bleed, tactical emergency casualty care, tactical combat casualty care, and advanced tactical combat casualty care are the services that we provide for all levels and all languages, well, not all languages, English and Spanish, but all skill levels. Come out and find out how you could best benefit your community and your team. And a team isn't just, in my mind, a team isn't just a law enforcement or SWAT unit or an infantry unit. A team, to me, is broken down into families: mother, father, daughter, sister, brother. What does it look like when we all go out and celebrate the little brother's birthday party and at Disneyland, and an attack happens where one of our family members is injured? This is your team. Who's going to be the one responsible for making sure your nephew, your brother, your son, your mother has the fighting chance at survival? This is for those people. This is for those people that want to step up and take that awesome responsibility. That's the reason why we got into this, is because we know what it is to take that, to be responsible for a team, a family, your coworkers, or if it's, once again, a tanker unit, everything in between. Someone's going to be looking to somebody when an active violent event or when tragedy strikes. I'll digress a little bit. I'll break off. There's a Houston trauma study that took place in the early 2000s that yielded some interesting results that showed 13 out of 14 people, when they're faced with a severe bleeding injury, that is, something happens suddenly and tragically in front of them, 13 out of 14 people, you know what they do?
What's that?
They say, "Oh my God."
Right.
Oh my God. All they say is, "Oh my God," repeatedly. That's it. That's what they do. They do nothing else. They don't do anything that will help increase that individual's chances of survival.
Right.
Or pull out the phone and record. This is a study done in the early 2000s. 13 out of 14 people. That just can't do. A lot more people would have a better chance if 14 out of 14 people knew what to do. And the reason why 13 out of 14 people just say, "Oh my God," is because they feel helpless. They're kind of paralyzed with fear and uncertainty because they don't have a plan. They don't know what to do in the event that particularly when it's a loved one, because it just fires off different things in the brain. They don't know what to do. Panic, and you ultimately end up doing nothing. Once we got a hold of all the data, we decided we wanted to change that. We wanted to make the people in our communities, everybody in the 2A community, and everybody in America We want to inverse those numbers. We don't want it to be that anymore. And by providing these training opportunities, we create a ripple effect of knowledge empowerment. Every person that we train also becomes an advocate, spreading awareness among their peers. And they also provide training opportunities. Ripple, ripple, ripple. So one day, everybody knows it like the back of their hand. Everybody knows what to do in a fire drill. There's nobody in America that you can pull an alarm and they wouldn't understand the process of a fire drill because it was spread and we were given awareness of it and education and training of it since we were in school. Since as far back as we can remember, we learned like lining up, what it is to be in a line, not cut people, how to safely and calmly exit buildings, and how to respond to emergency sounds. Now, it's second nature. You can go anywhere in the United States, any of the 50 states, and people know what to do. Likewise, it's very possible that we can get everybody in all the states of America to know what to do in the event someone gets hurt, particularly a life-threatening injury. That's the mission. That's what we're here for. And that's what we do very well.
Exactly. I like that. I really appreciate you being an individual that cares enough to take the time to share your knowledge and your experience and to watch and to see on all your videos and social media. And you have great videos, by the way, bro. I love them. So great job, man.
That's crazy. It's just kind of just nothing. I don't have any cameramen just like grab a phone and point it up at a random point in time during one of our classes. And they tend to turn out all right. That's good to hear. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Another thing I've interesting is that you see it pretty cool. I've always was under the impression that a lot of people can't see anything sexy in medical training, but I find it interesting that when I have a conversation with a Marine, a grunt, they see instantly what's going on and they're like, no, this is cool. This is what's going on. I see deeper into what's happening, and otherwise it can appear boring, but we have a great deal of fun out there in all of our classes. We combine tactical with medicine. So everything that everybody wants to do with the running and gunning and shooting and fighting, combined with carrying casualties and packing wounds and applying tourniquets and running the full algorithms and blood sweeps, IV access, and it's just a bunch of fun. It really is. And you're one of the first individuals that has ever, without me speaking to, has just looked at the videos and said, that looks cool, like something's going on.
Yeah.
Everything to do with you being a grunt because grunts know.
Hey, that's exactly why we made our show, because exactly what you're saying. Only those that are in that field or whatnot or that lifestyle are gonna know. And when you see it, it's dope. It's amazing when you know exactly what you're looking at and looking for. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, again, you were one of the few people that I can talk about this to, and we'll only touch on it as much as you feel comfortable with. All right. But I got to tell you, if you've ever wondered a question, you have bounced back so much from Balboa Hospital and anything that you dealt with that I can't do anything but salute you and take my hat off to you. Now, I got to let you know my personal story, which is also in my book. And, I talk about it here. For years, I was ashamed of it, but I'm now open enough to admit it. All right. After my 3 tours, as a grunt 0311, including being there the very first day of Iraq, I had to be hospitalized 5 separate times between 2008 and 2013, I had to be hospitalized 5 separate times. It wasn't until 2018 that I got a little bit of land and I started to go out and I learned to hunt hogs, and then I started to camp again. I started to camp. I took, a tent. I bought MREs from Amazon. I bought concertina wire from Amazon. I set up a little perimeter where I could, live like a Marine again. I had my AR-15 and my 45, had my tent, had my perimeter set. I bought chem lights to put around the concertina wire so I would know where things are, and like slowly doing that. And then, when you hunt wild hogs, you get to use night vision and thermal vision again. So yeah, man. So if you don't mind, talk about, because there trust me, there are millions of other veterans that have been in or that aren't sure how to deal with it, or what's happened to them, or what was wrong, or if they should have gone, or if they should go. I created the idea of Psych Ward Gang because every time I needed to go get help somewhere, there was usually a veteran already there. There was usually already another war veteran, another combat veteran there who was going through things. Or, I won't lie to you, there were other times where I'd be in civilian places where there were no veterans and I felt alone because everyone else that was in there was suffering from other things like, bipolar disorder and stuff like that. No, there weren't any other people that were suffering from combat PTSD that I could relate to. So if you don't mind, talk about your time and transition from or being at Balboa Hospital to the way you've bounced back so well today.
Well, honestly, Balboa Hospital started with with trips to the psych. That's where it all began, and that's when diagnosis started coming in, and that's when I started getting the realization of what was going on. After talking to various doctors of different specialties, from psychiatrists to psychologists to brain doctors that scan everything that's going on, and it was actually a very tumultuous time when I first got there. Probably the peak of everything that you would think stereotypically that would happen with somebody who's suffering silently from things that happened and their deployments to Iraq or with Marines. All of those things were manifesting full swing at that time. Man, I was super angry, super scared, which turned into super violence often.
Right.
Violence super often, which was strange for me because I had to get, with going back to Balboa Hospital, they were now immersing me with the Navy, which was something that was foreign to me. I wasn't around a bunch of Marines
Navy
anymore.
Right.
I was now around a bunch of sailors, which when I was in infantry, I could lose my mind a little bit and throw a punch at a corporal.
Yeah.
It happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just whatever, but it's a different story when you have that energy around the Navy. They don't like that. They're scared. They handle that completely different. Again, it was unnoticeable with being with Marines because that's already a warrior culture where people are already hella aggressive. So, that kind of stuff kind of slips under as just part of the community. But when you step out and you get immersed with the Navy or a civilian population, that's when you start realizing like the behavior is actually not acceptable here. You can't really beat up people every time your anxiety up there, and you can't handle everything with the oh yeah, well let's take it there. That the solution for everything, but that's what it was for a long time. Sometimes I was completely aware, and then sometimes I wasn't even aware, which was probably the most the scariest, or what was probably the most seriousness of the condition, was times when I was doing things that I wasn't completely aware of. Spent time at the hospital getting treated kind of like everybody else. People didn't really know a whole lot about PTSD at that time. We were kind of getting experimented on. I had a unique perspective, being that I was in the medical field. I was paying attention to what my healthcare process was going, where it was going, but from a healthcare provider, insider, corpsman's mindset. I realized it was kind of like, they were trying their best, but they were learning. So experimented with a lot of different medications that had, a lot of adverse effects as well. So many different meds that, they're trying to help you, but you'll never know how they affect you until you start taking them. And tell you, some of that stuff makes things, worse. Things did get worse. It actually wasn't until I transitioned out, and enough time went by. It took time. I can't think of any particular program or thing that actually just saved the day. Being connected and in contact with people, my buddies from deployments, and that I knew from those times, and keeping contact with veterans that understand. I know I hand that word because I've heard it used so much, but it's really what it boils down to, is being able to have support of people that knows exactly where you're coming from.
Exactly.
You don't exactly down to the souls, the feels, the anxieties, the boredom, the worries, the sucks, the everything. Being connected and keeping a continued connection with those individuals over a period of time, I'd say was the most effective form of medicine for me out of everything that I was presented with. And I was presented with a lot, every form of treatment you could think of. Yours truly did them all the bills, tried the studies, did everything, and ended up being time and connection with those who knows exactly where you're coming from, that ultimately started pushing the scale from day one back from Iraq to the individual you see in front of you now, which is a much more healed, put together, a much more victorious version of myself. Then getting into the 2A community, which happened way later. I spent years not even touching firearms.
Right.
Or staying away from them, like probably a good 8 years.
Right.
Got rusty and everything, where I was a little ashamed of myself, like, this ain't gunslinging freaking doc that I used to be.
Yeah.
This can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But getting it back into that world really shot me to another level, because now, like you said, when we went hog hunting, and I know exactly as you were painting that picture, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Hog hunting, you set up how you set up. The same thing that started happening for you began happening to me when I started getting into the QA community and started teaching the gunslingers tactical men. I was back.
Yeah.
I was in front of what were essentially, because everybody's all two-way, so they're all gunslingers, which were essentially a bunch of grunts to me at this time. I'm like, okay, welcome to the medical portion.
Yeah.
And that began a process of total and complete reconciliation of my past, bringing me comfort and reassurance, and giving me a lot of joy. And it was giving me something that I could focus on and be like, you know what? Things gave me appreciation for the things that we did go through. With deployment, because I say to myself now, I wouldn't be doing this here and providing this to the good people here now if it wasn't for those experiences. So I began to reshape and reconfigure my thinking about what I once considered very tragic and ski in the Marine Corps as more of this was actually very beneficial, and this is kind of I had to go through this in order to be here and provide this today. So
right on. I want to add and share with you, because I'm no longer ashamed of it. After me trying years of the same exact things that you said, from meds to counseling to the vet center to the VA to I even once went through EEG, bioneurofeedback, where they would attach these things to my head to let me know where my thought process was. I mean, I went through every step I could to try to shake off not being that homeless or drug-fueled veteran that everybody tries to say that war veterans are. I tried my damnedest not to be that. So I have to admit, though, after my years of, the counseling and the medication and everything, it wasn't until 2011 that someone convinced me. They were like, you know what? You don't get urine tested anymore. Why don't you smoke marijuana? And I had no answer for that, because I was like, well, damn, I don't know. I guess I'm not being tested anymore. So I don't know why I don't. It's never really been, that big of a deal. But when I did, and now it's legal in Florida, I have a medical card and the whole nine. When I tried medical marijuana, it made me such a different veteran, bro. I mean, I can laugh with people, smile. I'm not the serious or depressed type of guy that I normally am. I can joke. Oh my God, I can sleep. All right. It feels so good to be able to sleep the way you do when you try medical marijuana and you allow it to help you sleep and to get you through dreams and all that type of thing. I don't know how you feel about that, so I wanted to ask your perspective on medical marijuana and helping veterans.
I think all veterans should take medical marijuana. I'm gonna go into my personal story. It didn't take me long to get convinced to try that. As a matter of fact, before I separated out, I actually had to have a letter written to the Admiral of Balboa Hospital, because I opted on a test while I was at Balboa Hospital.
Okay.
My psych doctor was like, it's self-medicating. It's what's helping. I'm just going to write a letter to the Admiral. And I was completely excused. I know a lot of people don't have stories like that it doesn't happen but it happened just like that, as I was a patient at a hospital for what I was there for. And I was separating for that very reason. Came in there once again when I got the results. It wasn't from the command. It was my psych doctor who said, "Oh, it turns out that whatever." I was at another appointment. They popped on a test, but I had gotten that started that right before separating, because that was the only thing that was helping.
Exactly.
Among cocktails of things that they wanted me to try that were supposed to be better, and I didn't get that. To me, it actually seemed more dangerous what they were giving me. But medical marijuana came into the picture. I was in California, San Diego, This is a time when there's dispensaries, and it's like I actually took my picture, get my medical marijuana card, and I was like in like uniform in my picture before I even got it. Right before getting out, went in there and took pictures. So no, I'm an advocate. I'm a big advocate for medical marijuana for veterans, for many people, not just veterans, but definitely I would say people are going to give other things a shot, that they should definitely give medical marijuana or marijuana period a shot. The benefits can be extraordinary, tremendous, and the risk, cost benefit, there's not much, if any, very much risk associated with it. So we've tried things that had a lot of risk associated with it and a lot of danger. This is one of them. So I'm a very strong advocate of medical marijuana for the treatment of a lot of, especially anxiety disorders such as PTSD, etc.
All right. Now, I'm lucky enough that here in Florida, right, you can have your medical marijuana card, you can have your concealed weapons card. There's not much of a hesitation or of a problem between you trying to have your 2A rights and you needing to have your medical marijuana and all. So I'm totally in a very lucky spot by being in Florida where they handle it that way. But as kind of as like a joke or a side note with you, I often wonder what it might have been like for me to have been on medical marijuana and gone through a deployment or gone through a firefight. I don't know if it would have made me that much better of a Marine, or if I would have been more on point, or I'm not sure. But I wonder sometimes, like, would this have made me better or worse? So I don't know.
So Corman war stories, the forbidden vault of stories that, were vow we should never say these things out loud because it would be very unbecoming of the Marine Corps and the Navy Corpsman. But, I can answer the question on, would you, I don't know necessarily, I can answer the question how you would feel on a deployment, and you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't, only because, like, I was around all the guys that had all the access to all the medications and drugs and everything. The corpsmen, of course, we had everything and access to everything. So some guys, especially the one, you're on year deployments, whatever, some guys would take something here, take something there on deployment, and their feedback was like, I can't believe I did that. Imagine it's not that they're under the influence of anything. It's just the time when the air raid sirens are going off and you're off of that, and people are running to go put on black like that. That's not where you are. Even though I enjoy it at every other time, that is the time where you're like, this is not a good time to be like that. I don't know, maybe if you could guarantee, like, you were like wounded warriors where you're not doing missions, and you're not anywhere where that gets air raids, that gets like mortars and stuff. You're somewhere like in the rear. Maybe at a major base like Al-Assad or something like that. Al-Assad later years, not earlier years. And sure, but if you're anywhere where it's a possibility that you might get caught and you have to throw on a flag for whatever reason, you're gonna that every individual that I know reported the same exact thing, which is that's not it. That's not the best time.
All right. I totally get you there. Now, the last thing I want to ask you is about being a black veteran. All right. I have personally, since I entered the 2A space, and since going to this last SHOT Show, I personally feel that the sacrifices made by Black veterans aren't as appreciated as the sacrifices by other races. And I'm saying that because of the treatment that I've been getting from gun companies when 2 Marine infantry sergeants show up at your company with 3 tours each, right? And they're telling you, I want to advertise your outdoor products because I've used and served my country, and I want to use your boots, your guns, I want to advertise everything. When guys like that are overlooked simply because they're Black, I didn't know that still existed, so it blew me away. I have to completely admit that the 2A space and seeing how people are treated, how Black influencers or especially Black veterans are treated, it blew me away, bro. I want to know if you could let me know, how do you feel as both a Black veteran and being in the 2A space as a Black shooter?
Yeah. So I have the particular privilege of in the unique niche in the 2A space of combining the medicine, and I guess I get the benefit of narrowing down a lot of their options of those same individuals that you speak of. This what I'm about to tell you doesn't fix the problem. It just probably skews it to where it might not be quite as bad what you experience, but still close. There's not a lot of individuals in my particular niche. I can say that they specialize in high-risk environment, emergency medical care, and support of combat operations of Marines, infantry Marines who has actually seen combat and wounded. That narrows that down to where my competitors or colleagues rather in the niche it becomes much smaller.
They can't say it.
Yeah, they can't say it. But once you find me in that pool right there, and yes, I have noticed definitely not as attractive as a candidate. I reckon for the exact same reason that you said earlier.
Right.
Just because of skin color, not because the information that I provide isn't valuable enough. As a matter of fact, I hope this isn't being too much, but I personally think anybody could be that's researched us that we have some of the, if not the best program, I believe it, this side of the Mississippi. There's nobody who is as thorough and as good at what they do as us in this field. Nobody. I don't care what skin color they come from, just because of our experience, our ethic, and just how good we are at it. That being said, knowing that, you would expect those results, and you expect to see those results lined up with things like sponsorships or reach out and, hey, let's get you, and I want you for this and you for this. But I see colleagues and of mine that aren't my complexion, aren't Black. They they'll definitely get those things extended to them
from the same companies.
Yeah, from those guys. And literally, this is knowing that if you put both in a room, divided us, and had us do our thing, hands down, by far, we'd be the go-to choice. By far. People would be like, duh, pick them.
Right.
But it's surface level initially. People initially don't get past the surface, and some people never get a chance to find out. and a lot of people most people do because you can't help but see after a while, they choose to ignore even when they know where the shit. Just choosing because this can't get past. You know what I mean? Which is, is whatever.
That's the way it is. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it for you. All right, your organization, you Matthew, and your organization, y'all are the shit. What you do is dope. No one else in the 2A space touches it, and the medical side and the realism as well as you do. So why the hell these companies wouldn't want to come out to get training from a combat-proven corpsman that worked with infantry Marines? Why they wouldn't want to offer their products, their medical products, their 2A products, even for you as a tactician, bro, even your combat side, your tactical side. People don't realize you know more than fucking cops and a lot of firearms instructors. But I don't, like I said, I didn't, maybe coming from the military, you and I are both used to that door, that respect being there regardless of skin color, right? So when we try to enter the 2A space, it is the one place where you can say, yeah, I'm a veteran, but things still aren't cool with you racially.
You mentioned SHOT Show, so I take it you're aware of
the incident.
The incident.
Yeah.
Okay, you're aware. Yeah, I was fully aware of it too. It was as it was going, I was right there paying attention to it, and at that moment, even though it's not like I'm naive or anything like that, but when things die down for a while, you just like to hope to think, that things are getting better or have gotten a lot better. Would you
let the viewers know what you saw as a part of that incident at SHOT Show?
Yeah, so I wasn't present at the time of the event, but all of that information started getting put out by the individual. So an individual, a former Marine, a brother, was doing his thing at SHOT Show in this 2A space, just like everybody else, excited to be there, amongst what is supposed to be and appears to be to them a gathering of a community of people that are in this space, this 2A space that extends out to all kind of things. And there was a former teams guy. I forget who he was with. Forgive me, I should remember his name, but I since wiped it from my mind. I know he had one of his buddy was on the Sean Ryan show not too long ago, so you'd be able to see. I'm familiar with Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, so his buddy that was there was on the show, but the brother, the Marine, approached after some sort of Russian themed party in Vegas. It ended. Everybody had a great time. Now they're doing what people do in Vegas, walking around the strip, drinking or whatever. And he stops outside of a particular bar or lounge where the individual that I'm referring to that's on the Sean Ryan show, he's a Teams guy who has a dope interview on that Sean Ryan show. He approaches him and, asks questions. Oh, you did a great job on the Sean Ryan show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And his buddy, for another two Teams guys, just looks over at him and just hits him with I don't know what I can say on here. Calls him a commie and what? Unprovoked completely, just rages out on him and then punches him. Punches the Marine.
Really?
Yeah, socks the Marine. Just completely didn't see it coming, to the point where a Marine is like, when you get hit, you're not sure if you got hit because you can't compute. Like, what just happened? So he's looking around like, did I just get hit? And as he's computing that, he gets hit with another, flurry. His jaw gets broken, and
Really?
he reported that his buddy, the team's dude on the Sean Ryan show, just kind of watched, didn't do anything to prevent it. So now you have ambulance arriving, rescue on the Las Vegas Strip. You have a honorably serving combat veteran, Black Marine, who is proud to be at the SHOT Show, who has a broken jaw. He's going to have to get that, who's had a difficult time getting that reconciled. And he just got called a commie N-word, all while getting assaulted in a place that's supposed to be a gathering. These are two prior military individuals who both have done combat operations and theater. I would think that they have more in common right there than anything else. But it seems, putting the fact of the matter is, upon getting out, that individual who was a former Teams guy either went back to his previous way of thinking, never left that way of thinking, or joined a group of individuals who have that way of thinking. But it goes to show you that that shit's very much alive and well, because it's unbelievable that would happen. These are like, and I wish I knew the names, because these are names that everybody in the 2A space knows or should knows. They have a company or work for a company that produces a bunch of products that a lot of people in 2A space really love. So because they're former Teams guys, Delta guys, so everybody, wants to buy their stuff because, they're that. So I would think that being in that kind of light, you got a lot of eyes on you, a lot of people that revere you for no reason other than the title that you earned. To see those guys doing things that I would expect. I've seen better people in the trailer parks of Redding, California, and Montgomery, Alabama, than these guys. And these guys are cultured, well-traveled, been around the world, I'm sure, have been exposed to a bunch of people. And yet I could go to a trailer park somewhere of people who have never left their city, their particular area, their region. They're indoctrinated with all kind of crazy talk, and they still produce people that aren't like that guy, that are willing to reach out, break a brother's jaw, call him all kind of racial slurs while doing it for no reason. Well, he had a reason, I guess, no good reason. The reason is the dude came from a Russian party. He's a black dude. Apparently he had something that made him think communism. Black dude, took it back to the 60s and 70s, hit him with that, and just cracked him. And I find it particularly egregious, the gaslighting that he reported went on afterwards, which is the same buddy who could have stopped this, who just kind of looked on and apparently amused me. When he realized it was getting out of hand, there were a lot of cameras. You got a bunch of rescues showing up on the strip, lights and siren. This isn't something you're going to necessarily be able to sweep under the rug. Yeah. So he's trying to tell this brother, come on, man. Like, well, what do we got to do to work this out? We're a team. Basically insinuating that all three of us, the dude that just called him that and cracked his jaw, him and the brother, remember, we're a family, we're a unit, military, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, that wasn't there until after you realize that you were about to be in some deep shit. So I found that happening, and then the subsequent just dishonorable gaslighting and playing those stupid games, that was kind of appalling,
Right.
Very unbecoming of their, whoever they were with, their OTA, their team, the U.S. military as a whole, United States Navy, United States Army. The only one that that acted fitting to any branch was the former Marine who got his jaw cracked. The only one that acted like he had some sense. So and that was just recently. This was this past SHOT Show. Not prior, not 2-3 prior. It's the one that just passed.
Just passed.
Yeah. Tragic. Which it put things in perspective to me because these are the guys that are in those companies, that make those companies, that work on that are part of the boards and the development teams of those companies that are denying individuals like yourself and me. It's individuals like those that are actually immersed in those companies. So I began to draw a correlation. If I'm seeing this manifested at SHOT Show overtly in front of my face, then all that stuff is going on 10 times worse behind the scenes where I can't see. You know, when you send out an email or you have a communication with a potential, business or you're looking to get yourself out there, you know that there's a guy like that somewhere at one of those companies likely that wants to really just call you a commie N-word, and despite how much you qualify for and how much of a benefit it would be for them and for people that watch you, your audience, they just can't get past that, and they'd rather pass you up for someone less qualified, less skilled, less competent, less deserving, people who don't even have a large audience will still pick those individuals because they can't get past that. So I do recognize that and know that's something that should be addressed one way or another. A solution should be formed for that. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to pretend to say that I do know what it is, but I do know it's something that hasn't been done and definitely needs to be addressed.
All right. To round things off, can you let us know what we can expect in the future from Flexas Medical Group?
Flexas Medical Group will continue to provide our top-notch and top standard service, which is providing education and training opportunities, creating active responders, and empowering the community and individuals to be able to step up in a time of crisis or need. We have in May 11th and 12th, we'll be doing this is something that you would definitely wish you were there for. We're having a tactical combat casualty care CLS class here in North Florida on land and property. It's going to be full battle rattle. We're talking flaks and Kevlars, rifles and pistols. We're talking about patrols, taking contact, reacting to contact, catching casualties, evacuating casualties, spinning march mnemonics, where every individual is going to be the corpsman at different points of the training. So they'll all have to individually learn exactly what a corpsman does in those roles. So everybody will leave there proficient. And the entire march mnemonic, which is treating massive hemorrhage, airway management, treating respirations, managing circulation, and hypothermia prevention and management, which is our march algorithm for treating combat issues on the battlefield or any high-risk environment. Will be there's some things that people will be there that they'll have to sign a non-disclosure and waive for, because of some things we can't even say that will be going on, because it's just that dope. But we're going back. We're going back to those days. The majority of the people that are going to be present are actually former Marines that are out here, and we're doing full battle rattle May 11th, May 12th, and that's all we have on the schedule for right now. But keep on the lookout for us because we routinely and often provide anything, stop the bleed, tactical emergency casualty care, advanced tactical emergency casualty care classes. These are separate ones. Periodically throughout the months as they're coming, we have them going on here in North Florida all the time, and Texas as well. And we travel too, so we're constantly communicating with individuals. Anybody that hits us up and wants us to come out, we immediately get in talks with them to bring ourselves out there, to bring that training, education, experience out to where they may be, so that we can get our community right, whether they're in Maryland or they're in Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, did I say Maryland? Doesn't matter. So keep on the lookout, because we'll see us traveling to all over the United States, wherever we're summoned to be at. Other than that, we just post periodic classes there in Florida and Texas.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Matthew from Flexas Medical Group in episode 116 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. Matthew, thank you for taking time out of your day. You have dropped so much knowledge and so much game today that I can't even put enough words to it. Thank you for everything that you were willing to share with everyone. If you don't mind, you go ahead and hang on backstage, and I'll be with you in a second.
Right, all good to go.
All right, bro. Thanks again.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 116 of the WarDawg Trail. Salute.